they're going to make runs. If you get out of your mind when they make a run, you play in their hands. So it requires a lot of maturity, a lot of courage, and also a lot of good shooting percentage, hopefully.
And it's the same for Real Madrid. They've done well at home this season, 11-4, including 6 of the last 7. And they need to win at least these 2 games at home and 1 of the 2 on the road in Belgrade against Red Star and Partizan. Just Mateo knows it is all about the details in games like this, and he needs his team to step it up.
We need to avoid the stupid mistakes. We need to speed up the game, because I think that we need to run a little bit more than what we are doing. But anyway, it will be all will be details.
Well, Euroleague fans, welcome inside the Movistar Arena here in Madrid, Spain. As you see, the head-to-head record is dominated by Real Madrid, 20-5. But this is a special type of game with so much on the line for both teams. A play-in position, a possible playoff position. If any of these teams can make a run, might be a little bit easier for Madrid than it is for Milan. As you're checking out Milan warming up, and a very warm welcome back to Fabian Coser, who's back in the house. Kind of a house that he built over the last decade, almost 7 years here. There's signs all over the place for him. And welcome back, Fabian Coser, and for everything you've done for this team at Real Madrid. As you check out your fixtures around, Fenerbahce Paris are already live. As you see, Monaco Zalgiris, big games tonight. You got 6 of the night, 3 tomorrow night. You're looking at just a huge night tonight. So much going to have to do with the standings and where people are going to end up coming into the end of this double week, when there's still games on Thursday and Friday. As you look at your standings right there, Real Madrid sitting in 10th place. It's a triple tie between EFES, Real Madrid, and Milan. It's the reason why right now Madrid sits ahead, although Armani obviously has the advantage right now with that win at home back in round 8. So if they get a win here and they could sweep Madrid, that would be very, very good for their playoff or play-in opportunities. And you see both of them coming in, winning 3 of the last 5. I talked about that loss to Paris the other day. It was a tough one for Milan, where they didn't play very well. They shot well early on, made 6 threes in the first quarter, but that was it. As you see your team's roster, Dimitrijevic is back in the lineup here. He had a big night the first time that these 2 teams played. And Mannion, Coser, Tonu, and you got Gillespie also in the lineup, but I don't think we see him here. I'm seeing him on the floor. Sorry about that. I didn't see Gillespie was there, but he's on the floor ready to play. As we check out your key players here tonight, it is, of course, Nikola Mirotic, who played here long ago. Not very well liked around here, that's for sure, when he left for Barcelona. And it's Mirotic, who is scoring 17.7 games. Last against Paris, 6 points. The last time he didn't score double figures was round 8 against Real Madrid, so that'll be interesting here tonight. And Siobhan Shields, pretty much a leader of this team, up top with the ball in his hand, almost 12 points a game. You see his shooting percentage is 52-42, only 68 from the free throw line. But Shields does a lot of stuff, and he steps up in opportune times as Siobhan Shields. As now we're back inside again. Real Madrid warming up on their side. There's your roster for Real Madrid. We see Deck back in the lineup. Came back last week at 3 points. Played over the weekend against Unicaja also. Doesn't look like he's in form yet, as this guy was in form the other day. Musa was. And Campazzo, who is hurt, was sat out that game against Malaga. And now they have him playing here tonight. Of course, that was, without a doubt, a day of rest for Campazzo. As you check out your key players here tonight, and big Eddie Tavares. This is going to be your key, my people. Can they stop Tavares? 23 points the other day against Villarban. Big game against Unicaja. He's back. He's playing harder. They're trying to feed him the ball inside. And the rebounding advantage that Madrid has over Milan is huge. And that will be the difference in your contest. And Jana Musa, again, having big nights, 12.4 points in the season. Look at those shooting percentages, 58, 54, 38. 81, and Musa 24 points on Sunday against Unicaja in a game that finished 107-105. So let's see how much energy that took out of Real Madrid. He's got your head-to-head. I love these guys, Marzoni and Zach Ledé. Zach Ledé is one of the most consistent players in this league, and he steps up big games. He's had 33 points, once on the road this season against Barcelona, and once at home in a huge win against Panathinaikos. And Super Mario, well, if he's hitting the three, he's hard to stop for any team in the league once he's hitting that three. He hasn't been on this year. He's not at his highest percentages this year, but he's taking a lot more threes. You see him focusing right now and getting his game face on. So what he wants to do is try to be effective from outside that three-point arc. It was pretty easy last week with Tavares scoring at will in the middle of the paint. And there's your stats right there. Look at the rebound as we talked about. Offensive rebounds, Milan's 18th. And then on total rebounds, you get over here on my sheet, total rebounds, Madrid's first in defensive rebounds and total rebounds, as you see right here on the left side of your screen. And in defensive rebounds, total rebounds, Milan is 17th. So this game is going to be one in the middle. The difference in block shots, Madrid 3 blocks a game almost. Milan only 2. Not that big of a difference in the score sheet, but it is a difference when you got the big boys in the middle of the paint. You see Chus Mateo and Anthony Messina, their record against each other. Look at Messina's all-time record, 323 victories. And there's nothing he would like more to make it 324 and get a sweep of Real Madrid and really take a little bit of a chokehold on that play-in spot and send Madrid into a pressure situation with only 3 games left to go in this season. As now we get a real presentation, of course. Looking forward to seeing the fans celebrate Fab Coser and all this time here. There it is right there, a little applause for Fab Coser, but is that it? That's all they got for Fab? There you go. Bravo, Fab. I don't know. There you get Mercedes Fabian, MVP Belgrano. Oh, yeah. There's my boys right there giving Fab the look. As he steps out, they give a little extra time to get his applause on. Fabian Coser, 7 seasons in Real Madrid, 14 titles for Fabian Coser. I got to stand up and give him a little standing ovation here. And if I was sitting here with somebody, I'd ask him, why is there not some sort of jersey for Fab? Why do we not have some kind of homage for Mr. Coser? 7 years, 14 titles. Not too many people have those kind of numbers. Welcome back, Fabian Coser. And of course, for all the cheers that Coser gets, and there'll be Mirotic that won't get that many cheers, as you can hear that coming from a mile away. And the only thing that really matters to these guys is to try to walk out of here with a W on the road. We're looking at, I'll tell you what, Milan wasn't expected to be at the top of the standings. They're 7-8 on the road this season. All right, I mean, at any time you could almost have a 500 record on the road in Euroleague. You're always in position to get yourself into the playoffs, and that's exactly where Milan is now, 7-8 on the road. If they can get themselves to 500 on the road with a victory here tonight, 8-8, there you go. Gracias, Fabian. I love it. I love the respect that he gets for everything that he's done for his team. And I know Fab personally. I know his wife well, and Fab is 100% guy that loves Madrid, loved playing here, and was really sad to leave and go to Milan. But Fab is also the kind of guy that plays for his team. And I expect big things from him. And the MVP in Belgrade is an interesting thing because I don't remember who got the MVP in that one. I think it might have been Doncic, or I don't even remember. But Fab had himself quite a game, quite a Final Four, I should say. And some people would say he was the MVP. Some people would say he deserved the MVP. But one thing about Fabian Coser, he constantly stepped up in big games in his time here in Madrid. And that's something that so far this year this team has missed, and that's the reason why, instead of clinching the playoff position tonight with 4 games left, they're only in a position to try and get into the play-in position. Real Madrid now introduced. Of course, we saw the dominance that Real Madrid has had over Milan over the last 25 games. As Zach Lede sits on the bench doing his thing. There's your starting 5. Roman, Balmardo, Lede, Sivan Shields, and Mirotic starting. Again, it's a small lineup. What are they going to do with Tavares? That's the key here. What are they going to do with Eddie Tavares down low? That's the big question, I think. And then, of course, you got Coach Messina got to figure something out. Deck getting to start tonight. All defense here tonight with Garuba, Deck, and Albaldi stepping out on the court with Campazzo and Tavares. So interesting little matchup here between Albaldi and Fab Coser. If they're guarding each other, they were teammates for 2-3 years, sharing time with each other. Now they're going to be playing each other head to head here when Coser gets in the game, which we sure will. There's your 3 officials for the game tonight. Looking forward to a clean. Again, sides still hanging out for Fabian Coser right here. So we're about just over a minute to tip off. Anthony Messina getting his last minute instructions to his team. This is a huge game for Armani Milano, sitting in 11th place right now at 16-14. Remember, they do have the head-to-head matchup right now against Madrid with that victory at home in round 8. If they can pull one out here, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 point or 10 points. It'll put them in a great position, let's say in the driver's seat here, to try to win out. Although they have to go to Barcelona, they have the Italian derby ahead of them still. So those are the next 2 games on the road, and some difficult home games too. So it's not going to be an easy path for the boys from Milan. As we get ready to roll here, Fab giving his final high fives to the bench, to the coaches, to the rest of the players. Freddie Gillespie in the game tonight. He's been out recently. He's back into the lineup. He was a game time decision, as was Facu Campazzo we talked about earlier. So Gillespie gives a little bit more size in the middle of the paint for against Tavares. But right now, I mean, you're looking at Mirotic being the biggest guy on the court with Zach Lede, and that is not a good matchup for Milan down low. Now, they are the best 3-point percentage shooting team in the league, so they could take advantage of Tavares on the outside. That's going to be the interesting. Lede will hit the 3, and of course, Mirotic will jack up the 3. I talked about Mirotic, 6 points the other day against Paris, and this time it's Mr. Mandarina from deep one more time. Sometimes I think maybe you're just better off fouling him and letting him go to the line and shoot 2 or 3. Maybe he'll miss one. Or if you foul him on the dribble right there, you have to go to the line and only shoot 2 instead of giving the 3. But well defended, just a great shot. As we talk to Caruso now on the sideline in this first half, what they need to do to knock down this 13-point deficit.
Willie, man, you guys started slow and then go down at halftime, down 13. How do you stop the bleeding? I see you're banged up here.
Yeah, I think our start to the game was not good. We cannot start like that on an away game against a great team. So we just got to do better on defense, because I think we got better on offense through the quarters, but 54 points is way too much.
Alba Berlin just trying to finish out this season, being as competitive as usual as they are. Only a 6-point deficit for them in Belgrade right now against Partizan. And this is another big one here for this game, as Barcelona down 1 to Bayern Munich. See Jabari Parker having himself a big night And Hernan Gomez with 7 rebounds. But that is a huge game for Bayern Munich. That could almost clinch them at least a play-in position. From what I understand, Fenerbahce with the victory, with that buzzer beater victory, 101-100, they are now in the playoffs officially as we got our final game. It's Olympiacos up 2 in France against Villeurbanne. See what happens there as the night goes on, but Olympiacos sits up on top pretty comfortably, even though they lost to Cervena Zvezda the other day, last week. And now they're having a tough time in Villeurbanne against Asvel. And of course, Siobhan Shields with 7 points in that second quarter, kind of holding his arm a little bit. Looks like something's bothering him, but they're going to come out and play. These guys, Milan's not going to give up. We know that for sure. You see there again, Shields shaking something off. Strange that he came out of halftime with that. Tavares now checking back into the game, of course, to start this second half, third